play Darkridge Reunion. Now, this is a killer party game, so it's not quite a murder mystery because you're not trying to figure out who's the killer, but you kind of are, I guess. But before we get started, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because board games are amazing, and that's what we do here. So a little bit more about Darkridge Reunion. So this was released in 2021, so it is a fairly new release. It plays about 6 to 12 players. 12 and up, I do think that that's appropriate. And I definitely think the more players, the better with this particular game. Oh, yeah. It runs about 60 to 90 minutes. I think it did end up taking us a little bit longer once we explained the rules. Something that it does call out on the box is that this can be indoor or outdoor. So just kind of keeping that in mind. So
it's made by Starlux Games, and their specialty is getting active. You know, they have games and such that are designed to be active. They want you engaged and moving around.
Yeah. So now let's talk about quality of components. So you get this foam dagger that does light up. So I think that's interesting. And then I think overall card quality is, I mean, there's no linen finish, but I do think it's pretty good thick. And you get these covers. Yeah, and you get these covers to put all your stuff in with little tags. I actually kind of like that. For a party game, I think this is actually pretty solid overall. Yeah. What are your guys' thoughts about quality?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think quality is super important in this game because it's designed to be a kind of a party environment. I thought that it was really cool that they included all the necklaces. And
even though they did get one of the colors wrong.
In general, they're supposed to be color coordinated. We had one where the ribbon was wrong, but I think that is just a misprint in essence.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it goes along with my usual, I have to get one thing wrong with a game every time I get one. So, you know, I thought it was I was pleasantly surprised when I opened it to see what was in the box, because I thought that was pretty cool setup, especially as someone who writes murder mysteries. And, you know, knowing I have to have this type of setup for when I do the mysteries, you know, I just recently developed the necklaces myself for, you know, we did it up at Gen Con. So I thought, you know, it was cool that they already had that in there, and everything's printed in color too, which is cool.
Yeah, so overall though, rating wise, what would you rate it?
I mean, nothing's outstanding, but I think they made an effort to, you know, do things that made sense from a team perspective. It made it real clear for the ones that were correct, that you could tell which team everybody was on.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and probably give it, I mean, there's not a lot to this, but it's a party game. You don't expect a lot. For being a party game, I'm going to take that into consideration and give it a 7.
I think so, too. I think 7 is where I'm at, because you do get, like, this foam dagger, and nothing feels, like, bad. It's all decent, right? So that's where I feel like a 7 is probably where this is at for me. What do you guys think?
I don't know what the point of it being lit up is.
I think it's to make it more difficult to conceal.
Right, but it's not very bright. So maybe if we were playing it outside in the summer, and it would have been harder.
Yeah, I don't think, you know, in the house with the house lighting, that the light up was that important. But you know,
I can see outside that matter.
Yeah, outside it could be more important. If you were playing it at night, I think it would be definitely more important.
Yeah,
I agree with the 7.
Yeah,
I do too. I appreciated the pun names that they had, like Dr. Heartless. That was nice.
Yeah, Dr. Heartless was a great one. I had like a thing that I realized whenever I was playing the game. Like, it's very easy to kind of make sure that the murderer doesn't do anything, because literally what you can do is you can just clutter everyone.
But then you don't get any points for doing it.
But you can't complete any points for you have to be in isolation in order to get points.
Yeah, so it's kind of a catch-22. We'll talk about more about that in gameplay.
Right.
So talking about theme overall. So the theme is there is secret roles, okay? And one of the secret roles is considered the slasher. So the slasher is just out to kill anybody. However, there are other people at the reunion that wants to kill people, okay? So just because someone died does not mean the person who killed them is the slasher. It could just somebody with a vengeful streak.
Matter of fact, our first death was not the killer. I mean,
yeah, you're right. All right, so the overarching theme, again, is you're in your reunion and you're trying to do certain goals, and some of that can be you're trying to kill somebody, or maybe you're trying to not. In my case, my secret mission was actually to make sure that at least half the party survived, right? So I was actually out to catch the murderer, and luckily I had something to help me do that. And that's where those artifacts come in. So overall theme, though, I thought the theme was a lot of fun. It is definitely much a party game in that essence. But, you know, you do have secret roles and you are trying to, you know, do your complete and get the points. So I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was very interesting, especially if you're outgoing and love those talking kind of games, those party games. This is something that, you know, really fits that theme very, very well. So overall, for me, I think I'm probably going to give the theme, I think they did really well with like the pun names and everything else like that. So I'm probably going to give this a 7.5. Randy, what are you thinking for theme?
No, I mean, again, as someone who has to write these murder mysteries and the effort and the work that goes into it. Now, this one, it's not really a murder mystery. It is, you know, it's more of a LARP. It's kind of a LARP in a box, really. Everybody has goals. Everybody has points associated with completing those goals. And so I can appreciate the effort that went into this. You know, and I love the names. I love that they, you know, each one has 3 different options as far as the personality you give them, and you can write your own backstory for it. And, you know, it wasn't nearly as involved as what our mysteries typically are. It didn't have to be. It was still light and fun, and it was easy to get people out and engaged in it. I'm going to probably go ahead and give it a 7.5 too. I think that thematically it sucks you in.
Yeah, what are you thinking, Alex?
I'm thinking, yeah, I'm going to go with that score too. Like my dad said, it's not as much of a murder mystery as it is just a LARP with murder tacked onto it, because you don't really ever have a moment at the end where you're trying to figure out who the murderer is. It's just kind of you're trying to do your own tasks
and survive the night.
And survive the night.
And I also appreciate that you weren't eliminated by the death. Now,
Yes.
there is an introductory version of this where you don't have the ghosts and you don't have the amulets. We wouldn't play with all of it. I think that would take away a lot of the fun. So
No, the ghost was one of the most fun things about
Amen. Heather
it
was
was
the
definitely
best
the
ghost.
creepiest.
She was a very creepy ghost.
Yes.
And it was amazing. So
Well, the objectives were creepy. I mean, follow someone around for 5 whole minutes whispering,
Yeah, especially when and you thought it was the person that was innocent, and you were actually outing me as the murderer. That was the best part.
yeah. But yeah, I had an absolute blast with theme. I mean, what were you thinking for theme?
I was thinking an 8. I really, as an introverted person who is not an actress, I really appreciated having 3 options for personality because they were pretty different. One was a truck enthusiast, one was a hunter, and one was a survivalist. And since I always have a pocket knife on me, I went with survivalist. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you think, Heather,
I
for the theme?
love the theme. My character was a rebel, Jocelyn Van Tassel, and she was a stylist. So my initial objectives were a lot harder than being a ghost. I got killed in the very first little bit.
By your own husband, no less.
I know. I had just got done kissing him too.
Was that in character or actually in real life?
Both. But anyway, yeah. Then he was like, "Yeah, that's nice, but by the way," and he just hands me this, poison. I was like, "Appreciate you." But then I got to come upstairs and start doing these silly things that made it fun. I also just so happened to need a formal gown, and Melissa brought me one. So I went and took off my sweater and put on the gown. It's like, full floor length, and I'm walking around in this gown whispering.
Well, also it was
so...
like when you get like games with ghosts in them, usually they're that translucent blue color, and you were wearing the gown and your shirt.
Yeah, I should have left the gown on for the video, but I was
like, it was just perfect. It's like almost you were designed to come today as a ghost.
And so I think the theme is much higher than an A, just because I got to get into my silly element. It was really fun. The first thing I had to do was walk circles around all the characters, and like, I'm an awkward person anyway, and these people already know me, but they were looking at me like, what the? What are you doing? And I'm just like literally like walking around like bumping into him. It was very, very fun. I think that the theme, we're talking theme?
Yeah.
I give it a 9.5. I really had fun doing this. You know, because if you really had a ghost in your house, you would be like, what are you doing? Leave me alone!
Argue with the ghost.
Yeah, you would like.
All right. Yeah.
I got to pester every single person.
Oh, you pestered me. I guarantee you that.
I chose you on purpose, my friend. It was. I knew you would not be able to sit still and just ignore me.
Well, and that was my assumption. I didn't assume that he was the murderer just because you were saying that.
Yeah.
I just knew it was Randy, and probably that's the person who would follow around. So.
It wasn't to me. Everybody else was just giving me dirty looks, but Randy was like, "Get away, get away!" So I was like, "More of that, please."
I really wouldn't want to see what it would look like if there was an actual ghost in the house.
Well, you would probably need some Windex and paper towels.
And we would probably end up moving. So Randy, you're the only one that read the rule book. So how did that look for you? I know you were.
Well,
you
the
quickly
one thing
describe
I
what
didn't
what
like
it was.
about it, again, centerfold.
Oh, you hate centerfold.
Yeah, I do.
So much.
But I mean, the rules were easy to interpret. I did like they had one of the scanny things on there that you can
QR
scan. QR code. That would be called the scanny thing.
Yes.
Also, it's called a
It
lanyard.
takes you
not
to a video,
necklace.
but unfortunately, the one bad thing I'll say is when you do that video, it only works on a PC. It didn't work on iPhones. I tried it. Sam, you had a problem with doing it as well.
I don't even know how to do a QR code on a PC.
Yeah, you scan it on your phone and you could link it. But then if you took that link and you just went to your PC and typed it in, it worked. You could watch it video.
Oh, that.
But that didn't work very well. But apart
it's
from
not
that, the
always
rules were easy to understand and read. The one thing I did find that was odd was they had like a little paragraph to read aloud for each section, but they put it at the end of the section. I would have thought you would put it like Act 1, you would put it up front and then have the rules for Act 1. They did it the other way around, which seemed odd because it was hard to tell. Is this what you're supposed to say before the next section, or do you say it, when you're at the beginning of that section? It was really supposed to be read at the beginning, but then it was applying to, so it was kind of confusing on that. But, I mean, they were clear rules. The print is a little small, but not bad. It's got nice pictures in it showing all the different components as you read through, and they have all the various acts. And they have a score chart on the back. I didn't even notice that, so you can write down the scores for each team. I guess four games worth anyway. But you can copy
you probably
this.
just need to copy
Yeah.
it.
And it says you can download additional scorecards from their website. So,
Oh, okay.
And there's a
yeah.
QR code.
so I think it's, a decent rule book. I just wish there's a few fixes in there and that the QR codes worked on the iPhone because they didn't. So I'll go ahead and give this a 7, given the issues with the QR codes and some of the arrangement. But apart from that, it's a pretty good rule book.
All right, so now let's talk about gameplay. So gameplay is you start out, you pick a role, and that role will have 3 options that we've mentioned in the back, and you're going to choose one of them. And when you choose that one, it will tell you what your goals are for Act 1, 2, and 3.
Well, Act 1 doesn't have any goals.
Well, yes, it does. It says
That-
connect with your team and strategize.
Well, you don't get points for that.
Right,
You
but
just
that's
get
still a goal.
to plan.
Yeah. So it is just a planning mechanism, but still. And then you will also have a secret role. So you'll have a secret mission that no one knows about and you won't discuss with your party members. But again, you'll end up, there are 3 options. You're going to choose one of them. All of them have different values of points. So obviously there's some harder ones that are worth more victory points, and you'll end up making that decision with your role before you get started. And then with the expansion, you will also randomly draw a special artifact, and that artifact ranges. So like this is a seance candle. Force 1 goes to answer 3 and yes or no questions truthfully. Okay, so just depending on what you get. So every time you play is going to be a little bit different depending on the secret role that you got, the character that you got, and then you can try to change things up as well. Plus your special ability or your one-time use option is going to be something a little bit different. So you have those going in. So round 1 or Act 1 is really all about getting to know the people on your team, and they are basically broken up into 3 different categories: geek, jock, and rebel. And so those are your teammates, and you were trying to get the most victory points as possible. So you guys are going to strategize and go after it. After playing it, I kind of realized that maybe there is some more strategy because we were like, okay, what are we going to talk about? But in reality, maybe it's all right. You go after, these people, go talk to the rebel group, you go talk to the job, we'll switch or something. So maybe there's a little more planning that could be done, but at the beginning I had no idea what we were doing. I was like, okay.
But neither did anybody else.
The key is you have to get points, you have to be alone with the person, so you cannot get points if you're in a group, Sam.
He wasn't the only one congregating.
No, but Sam he completely forgot about it. So while we were doing it,
so did I.
I was like telling him, because we were on the same team, and I was like, Sam, you're ruining my vibe. I had Miranda alone. My goal was I had to have someone sit down and think about children for 10 seconds. And I was trying to complete that, but Sam was interrupting.
Yeah, but then
It was
you
also
kill me.
It's also kind of hard to do with someone going, murderer, murderer.
I thought killing you was the only way to protect the children.
I'll show you protect
All
the children.
23 of my children.
All right.
It was 22.
people.
What happened?
22.
I made another one during the course.
Being alone with people makes me nervous.
So Act 2 you have one set of goals, and then Act 3 kind of expands upon those goals. Now, the one thing to do note is, like Randy mentioned, is that you do have to be alone with the person to be able to get the points to trigger any of those benefits. But as well as that, there is some options to kill another person, right? So the slasher, but also some of the artifacts allow you to kill other players.
Yeah.
Which makes it pretty interesting. So just because, like you died, like I said before, just because you died doesn't mean the person that
And
killed
some
you
of the
was
personality traits make it so you want to kill like a specific player. It's not necessarily you were supposed to kill people, but like you have a goal that you just don't like this person for whatever reason. You have this grudge against them, and you're going to take them out.
Yeah, so I actually ended up with a really interesting combo. I ended up with the healer, which was about trying to get more than half the party alive, but then I also ended up with the Black Widow. So I basically did want to find out who the murderer was fairly quickly before everyone died and kill them. Like, I was totally fine killing them to make sure that more than half the party wanted to get my victory points. And so that's why I was a lot more willing to go alone with people, and I often did, waiting for someone to try to kill me. Randy, how did that work out for you?
I should have sensed it, because you were seemed too willing to talk for a long period of time with me, and I don't think anybody in real life or in the game is willing to do that.
To be fair, I did marry you, so there's a little bit of... So, I mean, I can't say my perception skills are great. Okay, so...
Your decision-making skills are certainly lacking.
Yeah. But hey, it all works out. One of the major issues that I had with this game was the fact that trying to keep track of score. So there was no kind of notepad or anything. I mean, honestly, if I had known, maybe putting a little scrap of sheet so you can kind of just get a quick pencil and mark off how many times, like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and then tick them off.
The only problem with that is that, especially for the killer, it's if you successfully killed somebody, you wrote it down, it's gonna add more potential of getting caught.
Well, I mean,
especially if you wrote it down with a dagger.
Yeah.
But if everyone had their phone out and was texting themselves, you could do just tally marks.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but still, I do.
But
think,
then you look rude because you're doing your phone while you're supposed to be playing.
Yeah. So I mean, I think there's some room there that could have been fixed. Now, so that's kind of weird. Now, we had a lot of fun with the ghost mechanism. I think Heather did a fantastic job playing the ghost. But she died so early on that the later ghost didn't get to have as much
there was
fun.
only 2 cards left for me to choose from.
And there's only 15 total cards.
Yeah, so I definitely think that maybe more cards should have been available.
Yes and no, because we were discussing, it seems like the ghosts, because of one, you're going to accumulate more of them as the game goes. You could potentially have the ghost run away with the score if you don't limit the ghost.
Well, maybe you should have so many available in Act 2 and Act 3.
Yeah, maybe possibly that.
I will say some of them were very short amount of time required. Like, one of the things I had to do was to scare someone and get them to react audibly. Thanks, Sam. I think you peed in his pants a little bit. But some of the other ones, I had to walk around doing the same inane activity for 5 minutes straight.
That creeped me out. Yeah.
It was so fun to do that to you. There was literally no one else in this room that I would have chosen to pester for 5 minutes straight. But I had more than three or four of them were 5 or 3 minute tasks. So.
Well, I had one of mine was a 5 minute where I had to follow her around for 5 minutes without speaking at all.
And then one of them we had to hold hands and do Ring Around the Rosie around the person one day. It was just
I just assumed you were my doppelganger or something because you weren't talking. But when I pointed, you pointed, and I was like, "What is happening?"
It did add an element of chaos that just totally and completely changed what we thought we were going to be doing.
Yeah.
I feel like it almost would have been more fun as the ghost, like reading and doing
It was way more fun.
Like
as
I
it
was
goes.
like, it's a bummer that I'm not gonna die.
Well, some of the objectives are really hard. I don't want to give away too. We've given away a lot already. I don't want to give away every secret of this game, but there's some of the objectives that for the main characters. I like all three of my character options were like, okay, Act 3. I don't know how I'm gonna get that to happen. It was just very difficult.
It's a high level of communication skill involved in this game.
Yeah.
And then we were like, am I supposed to be telling them about something naughty that I did in high school in real life, or something naughty that my character would do? And
We just all assumed if it was naughty, you did it. But
I was actually a really good kid in high school. I said swear words sometimes in class. At a Christian school, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So I do think there's some little things that could be tweaked that would make it a little bit better. I do think maybe because you died so early on, maybe the ghost thing didn't quite. Maybe the cards weren't enough because you died so early. Maybe they're more accustomed to people actually waiting to kill people. They don't know us very well.
We've played with Randy.
Yeah, you
I
really
think
got to
that
get
if
it while the
you-
getting's good.
I think that if you're a ghost earlier on, you have an advantage because once you're a ghost, your score is completely reset. And like if you're a ghost early on, you can keep accumulating those ghost points.
And you lost your other points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost my other points. I had 0 points at the end of the game.
So, and this is a team effort game. So, you combine, like, you're either the jocks win together or lose together. The rebels win together or lose together. Same for the geeks. And then the ghosts has become a fourth party. So, you're
all
add
the
up
ghosts
the
in
score.
it.
Yeah,
go
all the
together.
ghosts win or lose together.
So maybe that's why they have.
So that's what I'm saying. I think
cards.
they limit the cards because otherwise the ghosts could run away with it.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that ghosts was by themselves. I
No.
didn't realize they were a group.
So
okay, that makes
that's
a little
also
more sense.
why I didn't target as a killer my teammates because we were going to win or lose together. So my points for killing contributed to our score. So I didn't want to kill them. Matter of fact, I encouraged Sam to use his shield to protect himself from me without him knowing I was the killer. So, so I mean, it was. I think I like the system they had. I don't know if it's fully balanced because we, seeing the ghost did run away with it, but then when we looked at it, the scores because of what's the
Me
points
and Andrew
you got,
won because we got
you and
got
Caleb
together.
won. So. But if the ghost or if the killer was successful and took out everybody on the other teams, it could make things different.
Well, I mean that's just it though. You don't want the murderer to obviously or the slasher or whatever they call them. But honestly my biggest gripe though was trying to keep track of your own dang points. This is a social game and no one wants to sit there and count points. You know. And so that's really kind of, for this game, it kind of really bogs you down because in your back of your mind, you're trying to keep track of points. And that's just, it would have been, did what the ghost did. Every time you got an objective, you could slide a card in or something.
Yeah.
Because...
Yeah, maybe if we had stopped between acts and wrote down, like, okay, I got
From
this
that
many
act.
points during Act 1 and Act 2. But
Or
that would
put some
again
beans in
be
your
tough
pocket.
as the killer because it might have given away the killer's points.
Yeah, but I think that's something that they should have thought about and introduced to the game.
Yeah.
The fact that we're going to have to be creative after the fact and try to figure out how to do that, I think that is a discrepancy on that end. That being said, that's the only real issue I had with the game, is trying to do that. So
as an activity to get social interaction between people and people moving, I think it successfully did that, which is I think their main function is to get people to be actively engaged, not playing on a computer or playing video games or even just sitting at a table playing a board game. They want people up and moving and socializing, and I think it effectively did that.
You actually got me out of breath at one point. I was following you around whispering. Well, I followed you around whispering murder, and then I followed you around whispering murderer.
Yeah.
I noticed that change.
Yeah. I had those cards back to back, so then I was like,
I was assuming you were going to go to murder.
But I did get winded chasing you around. So thanks for the,
So let's talk about overall score. We'll start on this side. Heather, what would you give it for an overall score?
I really had fun. I think this game is supposed to be fun, and so I don't care what the score was. Nobody had more fun than I did. So I'm giving it a 9.675.
All right, what are you thinking for score?
I was thinking an 8.5. I had a lot of fun too.
Okay. What about you, Randy?
Well, you said going around. That would have included you. You bypassed you.
Yep,
Are you
that's how
the
that
ghost of the story? All
All
right. So I think it's a very fun, light, or not really even a murder, but a mystery game that's more of a LARP than anything. And the fact that they could put a LARP in a box and have it easily taught without having a game master, if you will. I thought that was very exciting to see that happen in a game because it's definitely different than anything else we have.
Which is remarkable.
Yeah. And it's something that can be played more than one time, which I appreciate because a lot of the ones like the How to Host a Murders, you play it one time and you're done and you just pass it on to somebody else you know. This one you can keep and play again and again and again. Yes, you could potentially pick up on some of the things, but as long as you gap it between, you're probably not going to have people remembering, oh, that's that so-and-so's goal, and to avoid
Well,
that.
and you have 3 choices, so it
Yeah.
mix it up, right? Like,
Yeah, so I think there's enough variability to keep it fresh as long as you don't do it all the time. But again, getting 6 to 12 people to play this game all the time will be tough.
And it's going to be different people. I mean, you might have a couple people that come all the time,
Yeah.
but different people for the most
yeah,
part.
I mean, I could see definitely having this one to bring out almost every, Halloween, but a year in between, you
Yeah.
don't remember nothing.
And I think it also is going to require the right people. I don't think everybody's going to like this. Is definitely not a game for everyone, especially when a lot of our viewers are gamers that are more traditional gamers. A lot of them are not social people.
Yeah, this is a party game.
Yeah.
So what was your score?
For what they've done, I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8.5 as well. I think that's where that level, I had a lot of fun playing it. I think there are a few quirks in it, but I think all in all, it's a very solid party game.
Yeah. Alex, what are you thinking for your score?
I'm thinking an 8.
Yeah?
Your loss of points really impacts your score.
It's not that. It's just like the quirks really do stand out, and it's not like they make the game unplayable. Like, far from it. It's just
You didn't have as much fun.
I know I did have fun. It's just like I'm not saying that it's like a negative score to have.
Eight's good. Eight's still a good score.
Yeah, it's a solid
eight's a
score.
solid score. For me, I think I'm actually with Alex on this one. I do think it's an 8. The main reason is the whole scoring function that in the back of your mind, trying to keep count when you should just be able to just be in the moment, especially with this type of game. And honestly, I felt like the ghost had a lot more fun than me, and I'm very sad about that. And
Everybody wants to be me.
and oh my gosh, you really made it. So if Heather wasn't here cracking us up, whatever. No, but I do think the more, I think there's a lot to be said with who you get to play this game. I am a bit of an introvert, so this one, is not my normal cup of tea, but I still had a blast because we had some great friends here with us tonight. But I'm definitely solid on an 8 for this one. So thank you so much for joining us, guys. We had an absolute blast tonight, and hopefully you'll come hang out with us again. We'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye.